Well, it's 3:06, waiting for students to arrive. This will be class number 8. We skipped a week because of the power failure. I had no power. And at least one student later told me she had no power. I forget who. So anyway, this final week number 9, we're going to have 2 nights of class. We'll cover week 8 material Tuesday today, the 11th of August. And on Thursday, the 13th, I believe, yes, the 13th of August, we'll have the final class, which is little more than ensuring all the students have completed the final project, which is this. This will be the paper handout. Let's see, do we have it on model tab? Yeah. And, till further notice, I'm taking exercise, I think it was 61. This is right out of your exercise book. And a couple classes ago, I literally had that exercise right out of the book. And I thought, well, this is a pretty good project. So a couple of times since then, I've stretched it around, changed some radii, and students are asked to find out how much area and perimeter this shape would be. And we come to this version. No longer have to do that. But, they're to create layers. They're to create a text style when placing text or after placing text. They're to change the properties of the text to all this. Create a dimension style using the text style. Elizabeth is joining us. And I won't be too picky on the plus signs or the, how they're done, because there's so many ways of doing it, and I still don't have a straight answer what's popular in industry. And Dan is with us by cell phone. Here's the handouts for today. Cover dimensioning. Time permitting, we'll start on the final project to be completed by end of class Thursday. Get NanoCAD set up here. And let's see which ones dimensions we'll need. Modify, draw. utilities just for a shortcut to get to the dimension, to the layers. Where's utilities? I think they'd have these in alphabetical order, wouldn't you? There it is. Although this is a Russian program, I'm not sure. If NanoCAD or ProjiCAD is Russian. Maybe these are in alphabetical order in the language that was programmed. No, I take that back. Utilities is not needed. Properties is handy to have on. Change layers quickly. Create a new layer. Well, 312 only have 2 students with us so far. Dan, Elizabeth, if you can hear me, I emailed week 8 starter. V5B is the most recent revision. So if you could open the one I emailed you, which I think is the same as the one in the class, the assignment for today. Whoops, where'd it go? Yeah, week 8, yeah, okay, that's slightly older. I can't remember what the changes I made. So opening up the email one might be the best thing to do. Also, as always, you can open up the handouts we'll use today. And I've got the final project in PDF. Hello, Aaron. So I'll secure that. Don't need the news today. Sally is with us. Ali and Sally. Okay, we've got 5 students.
Hi, Paul.
Hey, Dan. Y'all got my email message? I forget what day I sent it, Sunday or Monday, but the intermediate class is going to be on Tuesday, not Tuesday afternoons again, but it's going to be it'll be later in the class. I'm not sure if I can find where. I can't remember which email I sent it from. But anyway, I believe it's starting exactly an hour later at 4:15 instead of 3:15. Anna is with us. And I'm still not sure. Aaron, I hate to, this is bad news because you're the only one remaining that doesn't have any AutoCAD. But depending on what the consensus is, we may or may not use an AutoCAD work-alike. I kind of like IntelliCAD, and I think I got it rigged so that if you're using your NNPS assigned email ID, or no, if you send a message, something to do with your NNPS email, you can get free student software. So we might go back to IntelliCAD if there's enough interest in a AutoCAD work-alike in the intermediate class. Again, I suggest everybody open up the Week 8 starter revision Victor 5 Bravo V5B, the one in the classroom. I think it might have some spare layers and spare textiles, spare junk that I purged out to get the starter file as small as possible. Got 7. That may be all we're gonna get. Here on the right side of my screen is the paper handouts for the class. If we had it in reality instead of on Zoom. Today's material is how to do dimensioning. Before we get into dimensioning, let's create a layer for the dimensions to go on, and create 1 or 2 text styles that we can use within the dimension styles. So to make layers, let's go up here to the layers, open up Layer Property Manager. By the way, before I forget, def points automatically comes up the very first time you place a dimension. Many releases ago, it had a function. It stored the tiny pinpoints where your dimensions begin and end. But one of the recent releases, they redefined how dimensions work or operate. So def points is no longer needed, but it's still automatically created just for the sake of the programmers that for some reason used it within their program. But our dimensions should be on a unique layer. So we'll get a new layer here, and I'd call it dimensions or dims. I think my request for the contract for the final project has dimensions be magenta, and we're ready to go create a dimension style. Real quick, Aaron, on IntelliCAD, dimensions are automatically placed on a dimensions layer colored green. And not sure how to set that. Some people like it so you don't have to change the current layer when you're placing dimensions. They automatically go on the dimensions layer. I guess after the fact you can change the color of the dimension layer. So that's one difference between NanoCAD and AutoCAD. So we want dimensions layer, might as well set it current. And we'll close the layer properties window. Before we get into dimensioning, let's create some text styles. We'll click on this text style icon. I believe typing the word style, it opens it up as well. As always, don't modify anything named standard. Use it as a prototype or template for new stuff. So with the standard selected, imagine you had a dozen different styles here. With standard selected, click new, maybe call, I don't know, week 8A. Might be smarter to name it the font you're going to use. Click OK. It automatically throws you into the modify. I'm sorry, I'm getting dimension styles confused. Let's go with use a new style. How about this Berlin Sans FB? And we'll make it regular. Always leave height 0. You'll see why today. If you create a text style with a non-zero height, your dimension style is almost useless. Or I should say your text style is useless for dimensioning, because the text style controls the height of the text, where the dim style controls the height of the arrowhead, the gaps, and the whiskers and all. We'll compress it a bit, say, I don't know, 0.9, enter, and give it a slight oblique angle, say 10 degrees. Set it current, and close our text style. So we at least have a text style now that we can assign to the dim style. And again, the text style needs to have 0 height to be used within a dim style. Click close. I think we're ready to experiment. Oops. Instead of setting the week 8A or the text style we just created, let's instead of having that current, let's see what standard looks like. So set standard text style current. And again, I'm getting text and dim styles confused. Check it out with the standard dim style current. Right, here's the icon for dimension styles, and we only got one until we create one. But check it out. Let me show you first the old icons here that I still use, and then I'll show you this high-tech, starburst dimension icon that's new. And then NanoCAD has it as well. But let's place a few dimensions on the parking lot and on the small part here. Click linear. This will do vertical and horizontal. Turn on your O snaps, which are set to Burgener's 5 favorites. You also got polar tracking on, set for 45, and everything else turned off. Where were we? Click on this linear dimension icon. O snap there, come up to the intersection, and you can see how microscopic the text turns out to be. Not only it's microscopic for the parking lot, but by default, the standard dimension style has 4 decimal place precision, which is extremely expensive to manufacture. It hardly takes a couple rubs of a piece of sandpaper on an object, and you can take a 10,000th off of it pretty quick. So this is we don't want that. We want it down to 2 decimal places. Now, if we zoom in on the small part, what do we do when we see the octagons? RE, enter. And we dimension anything on the small part, well, it's huge. And here's another deficiency of the standard dimension style. On dimensions that are less than 1 unit, the standard dimension style puts a 0 in front of the decimal point. Well, that's commonly done in the metric countries, but US, Canada, and Great Britain truncate the leading 0. So we want to truncate leading 0. We want to change the precision from 4 digits down to 2. And maybe some other things. We'll need to adjust the dim style so it's the appropriate, it makes the text and arrowheads, and this is an extension line extension. This is an extension line offset. Everything you can measure here, you can magnify with one setting within the dimension style. While we're here, let's go on to some more tools for making dimensions. The aligned, Alexandria has joined us. The aligned icon dimensions things diagonal as the crow flies, so to speak. So I might dimension this diagonal line here with the aligned tool. And AutoCAD, puts the dimension line, that's the line that's got the arrowheads on it. It places the dimension line parallel to the diagonal line you're measuring. A couple others we'll use this earlier, radius and diameter. Click on radius, we'll zoom in. Say we'll click on this arc. We can place our dimension close or far from the object, but automatically the radius dimension tool places the R to the left of the text. R, of course, means radius globally. The other one for circles and arcs, or circles, I should say, is the diameter method. Much like the radius dimension tool puts an R to the left of the text, the diameter tool puts this circle slash to the left of the text. And I might have told you first class, circle slash is a global symbol for diameter. Anyway, let's erase all we've done. Maybe erase that guy. So let's create a dimension style, starting with one for the parking lot. Let's name the dimension style parking or parking lot. And we'll set it for the scale so that if we were to print the parking lot out on a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, well, whatever paper size we put it out, ideally we want the text to be 1/8 of an inch. Every textbook I've seen is, says 1/8 of an inch for crosshatch spacing, text height, arrowhead size. So let's create a dimension style. On the annotation panel in AutoCAD, drop down, click on dimension style icon. Using standard dimension style as a template, click new, and we'll call it, say, parking lot. Disregard this annotative. That's a recent feature added to AutoCAD, and I haven't figured out if that's common in industry yet or not. I've taught it once or twice, but still don't know if it's caught on and is popular. So after naming your new dimension style, click Continue. And it opens up as if we had clicked on the Modify tab here. Opens up all these different tabs of tweaks and adjustments for this dimension style. Making sure I covered everything. Second page of your handout or someplace in there, but I suggest this early in your training only. Make changes to text, fit, and primary units tabs. You know, maybe my topic for intermediate might be tolerances and alternate units. So let's only use text, make changes on text, fit, and primary units. Second page, there's, we named it. Can't read my own text writing there. I think that's on the there we go. We're on the text tab. So on the text tab, I want you to, for this exercise, just change two things. One of them is the text style that your dimension style will use. We just created week 8A using, I forget which font we used, Berlin something. And it's optional. I rarely do, but notice how by default the text height is 3/16 of an inch, or 0.18. I think that's near 3/16. Again, you want to have the text to be 1/4 or 1/8 of an inch on the paper. All these releases, AutoCAD has left the text height by default 0.18. Your system administrator might make things easier for you if he or she changes the standard dimension style or gives you a dimension style to use that has the text height 0.125. But let's leave it as it is for now. The Fit tab has only one change I want you to learn, and that is this use overall scale of. Now, this is the magic number that enlarges the text, the arrowheads, the gaps, the extensions, anything that you can measure, you know, with a ruler or micrometer, it'll scale. And I'll make things easy for you. The parking lot, I've found a reasonable use overall scale of factor is 24. So for this parking lot dimension style, set it 24 more or less. And then on the third tab, where there's changes we want to make, go back here to the bottom of page 3 of the handout. This has got 1, 2, 3 changes on it. One of the things that we don't like about the standard dimension style is the precision is 4 decimal places. So let's drop that down and make it more reasonable, so the inspector only has to approve parts to the nearest 100th of an inch, you know, which is almost a 64th of an inch, you know, reasonable to measure. Now, also on the primary units tab is the zero suppression. Remember, by default, the standard dimension style puts a 0 to the left of the decimal point for text that automatically reads less than 1. And again, Canada, the UK, and the US say don't do that. No idea why it's common in the metric countries, but not the US. So we made the let's leave the unit format on decimal, but be aware a architect might change to architectural that clusters every 12 AutoCAD units and calls them a foot. So you can you place dimensions automatically. Instead of being 50 inches, it would be 4 feet dash or space, I forget which, 2 inches. Similar to fractional. I think that does, yeah, fractional. I stand corrected. It doesn't cluster in feet, but it shows the fraction of a AutoCAD unit in a fraction. Engineering is power, times 10 to the fifth power. Scientific, I forget what that is. Anyway, most likely you'll use decimal in your professional work, with the possible exception of using architectural if the client insists on dealing with feet and inches. So again, let's leave it at decimal for now. So again, on the text tab, all we did was change the text style. Double checking here. And we'll leave the text height 0.18, the default for AutoCAD, even though if AutoCAD were coded today, it would likely, I would hope it would be 0.125. It's kind of late to change it from the first text height back in 1982. So we chose the text style on the text tab. Then on the fit tab, we magnified everything that is measurable, the text height, the gaps, the extensions, all that stuff that's measurable will be magnified by 24-ish. Primary units tab has the scale factor. Leave that at 1. Doesn't it look like scale factor is the same as use overall scale of? So it's easy to get these two variables confused. The scale factor here is a cheating factor. And I don't know anybody that's used it, but you rig your dimensions to lie. If you want to double the size of your object, you can rig the scale factor to place text that's exactly twice the size of what you drew it at. So it's a fudge factor, a way to lie in your dimensions if you want the dimensions to be a 1/10 of what you drew it to be, or 5 times what you drew it to be. You can rig it to lie for you here, and lie consistently. We also changed the suppress the leading 0. On some of my handouts, I think I got trailing turned on. So if it's 2.00 units, it'll simply say 2 instead of having the extra zeros to the right of the decimal point. So on primary units. Got everything. Want to leave it decimal. Change the precision from 4 to 2 zeros. Check mark leading zero suppression to be like we do in the US here and a couple other countries. Click OK. Set it current, just like a layer. You can create a layer and forget to set it current. So click Set Current. Click Close. Now we can go back to the old-fashioned linear aligned, and we'll get with angular sooner or later as well. Let's go with linear, horizontal or vertical. O-snap to the corner of the parking lot. O-snap at the intersection of the polar tracking line and that curb line. I must have clicked accidentally 2 times. Well, there's our 20 unit green space city code requires. Now check it out. You can grip edit these dimensions simply by clicking on them. Grab the text, grab the grip at the text, and you can move. You could force the text to be between the arrowheads if it automatically goes outside. Again, you can, when you double click on a dimension, it's kind of like double clicking on a piece of text. But this faint blue background is not like the hit escape, like if we double click there, this is a dark blue. If we start typing right now, it'll delete all this and replace with what we type. This is a faint blue. That means the automatic dimensions are within this area. Anything in this light blue area is the automatic dimensioning. You can, by default, I think the cursor begins at the far left, but we might say, I don't know, allow 20 feet, say. Hit the end key to go to the right of the magic text. Now in machine work, you likely do 6x time before the dimension for if you got 6 holes that are this dimension. And machine work, after the dimension, you may put approx or 5 places, or cut to fit. Okay. Do another, maybe a radial dimension. I think all of these are 10 units. You got no diameters, but if you wanted to bad practice, but if you wanted to do less than half a circle with a diameter, you can do it this way. Angles, let's get into that. I'll O-snap on that line and this line to get the angle between the two. And like we did with the linear, you can adjust where the text goes as you like. So far, so good. Let's zoom in on the small part, in these little specks in the middle of the parking lot here. We'll need to create a dimension style specifically for this size of object. And again, there's this new annotative way, kind of relieves you of the need to make a dimension style for every size of object. Again, I haven't gotten a feel for how popular it is in industry yet. So let's create a dimension style for these tiny little objects that are less than a unit large. Go back up to annotation, click on dimension style icon. Select standard to begin a new one. Click new using standard as a template. We'll call this, I don't know, small parts. Click continue. And I think the only, well, we'll make similar changes we did to the parking lot. Leave it at decimal. We'll change this to 2-unit precision. Oops. I'm getting out of order here. On the text tab, let's change the text style to week 8A. If we made a Dutch or more text styles, we can play with them, but I only had to make a single text style. And go to fit. And by tiny part or small part, I've found that less than 1 is a good magnification, 0.2. So everything measurable would be 1/5 the size of standard. Change the fit, use overall scale of to 0.2. And then primary units, as we did earlier, leave it decimal, change the precision to 2 places. Truncate the leading 0. Click OK. Click Set Current. Click Close and proceed to dimension your object. Comes out a tad smaller than I expected, but that's okay. And diameter. Now there is a bit of an art to dimensioning. I won't get into that if I don't have to. Part of that art is that the spacing to the first dimension is a little bit bigger than the spacing between the first and second or subsequent. You place your small dimensions close to the object, and as you get further from the object, place the bigger and bigger dimensions, and that'll avoid extension lines crossing dimension lines, and it's just less clutter. Okay. For the floor plan, I won't take time to dimension it, but I found the floor plan use overall scale of 8 works good. And for this huge cork object where a unit might be millimeters, I guess in that case maybe we should, well, we ain't got nothing that's less than a single 1 unit. So we won't have anything that's got that leading 0. But for this cork object, I found 64 is a good height to get the units reasonable, so that when printed out on a letter size sheet of paper, there'll be a 1/10 or a 1/8 of an inch. So far, so good. Let's go to NanoCAD now. I went on YouTube and I found 3 different ways to dimension things in NanoCAD. And the one I like is the closest to the way AutoCAD rigs. But in order to make your dimension styles work like AutoCAD, you got to change one parameter. And I don't know why this is necessary. On the bright side, you only have to do it once, and it seems to stick from drawing to drawing to drawing. That parameter is, come down here on Tools to Setting Parameters, or type the word params, P-A-R-A-M-S. Gets you there as well. So again, Tools, Setting Parameters. Click on Edit, or drop down the Edit menu. Come down here to the Scale Dimensions and change it to No. Again, I've changed it, between classes to No, so it sticks. It's forever going to stay No. But brand new out of the box, NanoCAD has it set to Yes. But as non-intuitive as it seems, this step will make the dimensions very, very similar to AutoCAD by changing the scale dimensions from No to Yes. Click OK. And I think there's a styles toolbar, but I've always gone to this format dimension style, from the pull down menu. Notice text style is also on this format pull down menu. So we'll click on dimension styles. Comes with standard. So far looks a lot like AutoCAD. Click new. Interesting, it doesn't come ready to type. You gotta strike through. We'll call this parking lot. Click OK. It goes into modify. Same things we did before. Rats, I forgot to make a text style. I'll skip that. That's all there. So there's no changes on the text tab. Come down to fit. Again, 24 is a good scale factor, and this, for some reason, it had no effect until I found out about that parameter. Again, Tools, was it Tools? I forgot, path, anyway. Click OK, then go to primary units. Set it to 2 decimal places. Oops. Accidentally slipped it off a decimal. As we did with the AutoCAD, we'll click suppress the leading zeros for that small part, or the tiny part. Click OK. Click Set Current again. Click Close. Now notice, I guess, well, I should have purged this dimension layer out. No, I think it came in. Well, I should have purged it out to demonstrate. Even though 0 is the current layer, whether or not there is a dimension layer, IntelliCAD will place the text on a layer named dimensions that will be green. Now, one thing I haven't decided if this is good or bad with NanoCAD, but it seems it wants you to put things at increments. You see how it jumps around? And from what I've seen, this jumping around increment is proportional to the use overall scale of. So you might like this, you know, if you want the exact same distance between every dimension as you go bigger and bigger outward. I can move this grip up to here and keep going further and further outward. NanoCAD will, from force of habit, I keep clicking that point. But each of these spaces is the same, or they don't look the same, do they? You know, you can deviate from that automatic space, or from those snaps, but I haven't figured a way to how to adjust the trying to remember, I think it was 0.36 of the use overall scale. So a little more than a third of the use overall scale is what the spacing equals, if memory serves. Go into the small parts. What do you do when you see octagons? RE enter. We'll need to create another dim style. Select standard, click new. We'll name it, say, small parts. And do our usual. Leave everything as it is. Fit 0.2. Primary units. Cheapen the precision down to 1/100th of a unit instead of a 10,000th of a unit. And truncate the leading 0. Click OK, click Set Current, click Close, and again, whatever layer is current is irrelevant. The NanoCAD will force it to be on this green dimension layer. Okay, I thought there was a way to place it between snaps to begin with. It looks like you can later go in and tweak between snaps, like grip editing. Sometimes you like to slide the text up or down the dimension line just so the text is easier to read. diameter. Oh, I haven't figured out this yet. If I did, I can't remember it now, but for some reason it insists on putting, NanoCAD insists on putting the diameter and I think the radii dimensions. Okay, radii is like AutoCAD, but the diameter, it insists on placing it between the arrowheads, and I haven't figured out how to overrule that yet. I noticed there is a where is that? Yeah, this place text manually might solve that. Don't think I tried this. Click close. Diameter. Nope. Even that won't allow you to put a diameter dimension outside of the circle. Hit escape when done, like the radius dimension allows or does by default. Getting back to editing dimensions, again, double click. Okay, I don't remember this coming up, but you can cheat. You know, this is very bad habit, but if that really should be 0.20, you can override the associative automatic text simply by taking away the automatic, covering up the automatic text and typing in whatever you want. But check it out. If I scale this part, you would think the radius, if I scale it by a factor of 2, wouldn't you think the radius would be 0.4 instead of 0.2? The other dimensions are honest. They tell the new size of the diameters or linear dimensions, but this one that I overruled will forever ever say 0.2 no matter how I scale or stretch the part. And again, I'm kind of shooting from the hip here. I'm experimenting here. With AutoCAD, you can restore the annotative magic text by putting these 2 brackets. Well, let's see if it's the same way with NanoCAD. You can simply put the less than and greater than sideways carets in, and hopefully it'll restore to associative honest dimensions. I believe that is honest. Yep. So you can recover the honesty if you want. Not sure how you do. Say there's a dozen features on the part that this dimension will apply to. I'm hoping that this is the way you can add a blank space for good measure. I believe this is the way in NanoCAD has you put a prefix or a suffix. Space prox. I don't know what all these other boxes are for. Now, if I were to scale or reduce this by a factor of, or scale it by 0.5, this magic text of 0.38 will drop down to 0.19, but the 12x and the approx, and I'm not sure if you can put a carriage return to put it on a second. I know in AutoCAD you can put it in a second line with just by hitting enter. I'm not sure with NanoCAD, but let's put it back to the size it was, 0.5, and there the dimensions. While I'm here, and again, I don't believe I practiced this over the weekend. I think this is the magic icon that AutoCAD has. Instead of having to pick, here you got to pick horizontal or vertical. AutoCAD, you just pick linear, and it'll do either one depending on where you pick your points. But with this tool, it kind of identifies what you've clicked on and automatically goes to diameter, radius, or height, or anyway. I found that in AutoCAD, at least, it's beneficial if you turn off the O snap for this new high-tech magic dimensioning tool. That should give you a break soon. Click on it, and rather than O snapping to the midpoint and to the ends, you can click anywhere on the object, and then just place it away from your object. Hit escape, click the icon again, and it recognizes, this is a arc, not a line, so it goes to radius. I wonder if I do that on circle, it might. I think it'll recognize it as a circle. Yep, it places the indicates the diameter, and again, I haven't figured out how to force the diameter to be outside of the circle like the radius is automatically placed on the outside of the arc. Checking my notes, see if I covered everything I wanted to. That's about it. Anybody got any question about dimensioning? Turn back on the O snap. Interesting, it already is back on. The same thing in AutoCAD. Whoop, that's not O snap. There it is. Click the magic dimension. Which dimension style? I got small parts current now, so let's zoom in on the small parts. And there, AutoCAD will place a diameter if you click on a circle, and I believe it'll place the radius if you click on an arc. And if you click on a vertical or horizontal line, it'll place the linear text. I think with O snap turned on, I'm shooting from the hip here, but I'm hoping it'll do the aligned. Yep. With O snap turned on, you can specify 2 points rather than AutoCAD knowing whether to do diameter, radius, or linear. It'll do on the linear in the aligned. And I think for angle, invoke the angular option of the smart icon. Click the two lines and it's getting a little cluttered here. Well, it's 4:15. Let's take a 10-minute break. Anybody got any questions before? Okay, let's question again.
Yes, sir.
Sally, Dan?
Stan. I got a question about text properties. Where do we go to set that?
Okay, the text properties, okay, some of them can be done between the right and left corners of placing the multi-line text. But all of them can be done after the fact by selecting the multi-line text object, right click and go to, all right, Burgener. Why is it not bringing up the properties?
Hit escape, maybe.
Okay, it looks like I got my right mouse rigged, so it's got to be a real short right click. Come down here to properties, and the properties of the text object, as opposed to the properties of the text style, can be changed here. The justification, the text height.
Is there a way to set up standard so that it comes out the same way every time?
Well, that might be, I better say I don't know. I know there's a type in, like, I forget, T height or something. There's a type in variable you can rig the text height to be formed as. I don't know if you can rig these line spacings to automatically, create new multi-line text with the same line spacings.
The one that I have the most challenge with is the orientation of the text. Like right justified in the upper right hand corner.
Right.
When I place it, it always comes out as a default.
Good point. I don't know of. Interesting. It's I've never been curious to find out, but I don't know of a way you can rig the default justification to be middle center instead of being upper left.
Or upper right.
Correct.
Okay.
So I don't know. There's a maybe 100 different system variables. Maybe there is one that sets the default for all future multi-line texts to be middle center or upper right. So, but again, some of the properties of the text you can place in between the margins. click your left margin before you click the right margin. You have a chance to right click and set the height, justification, line spacing. Not sure what the width does, if that overrules the what's it called, width factor within the text style, or what it does. Rotation is kind of useless. You know, why not just use the rotate command? Does the same thing, but you can change, you know, at least these three. So while you're typing, it comes out a little more like a print preview. Let's see, MC for middle center. And right click, line spacing, I think exactly 0.78 might be the least it can be. Okay, looks like I should have put an X after it. 0.78X, enter. Well, I'm going to have to punt. So there it's kind of sort of, I might have, yeah, I put a blank space there. So these lines are different lengths. Now, Dan, I have seen some rare cases of the text style having a non-zero height. Now that'll rig the height to, you know, be the height you type in here by default. I believe you can later go and scale it, or right-click properties and change the height within properties. But that might be the one and only use to place a height within the text style, so that the CAD operator will automatically make it at a 1/4 inch tall, or, you know, 10 units tall, or, you know, whatever for the, you know, the standard of the company. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but you can also place dimension. Dan, you're familiar with viewports. You can also place dimensions in paper space on the layout tab. And I think standard will come out reasonably high here. So I'll make standard the current dimension style. It'll O snap through the viewport. Now that text is literally in paper space, but it, you know, that's one way to, you know, you could have your text style rigged for a perfect 1/8 of an inch and dimension everything in paper space.
That's how I've been doing it.
Okay, well, for some reason I've never thought of it at the right time with my construction drawings to see if dimensions are done in paper space. I doubt it. Now the problem with this, if you pan, double click to make active the viewport, you can easily get the dimension out of sync, so to speak.
I had to learn to lock the view.
Right. Well, another instructor told me of a command that'll move the paper space dimensions where they should be.
Oh, cool.
Say again?
That's cool. What's the command?
I think it's dim regen. Let's see. Yep. I don't know why maybe it's a little computationally intensive to automatically do it when you pan, but you're right, locking the viewport is definitely a good idea.
That would change the scale and everything when I would zoom, and it would mess it up.
Right.
So the view lock was nice.
Wonder if NanoCAD has. All right, Burgener, why can't I switch over to NanoCAD? There we go. Well, I'm stepping out of the boat. I
Hey,
used to.
Paul, question about those dims. Do you normally dimension in model space or paper space?
I usually dimension in model space, and it might be just from old habits. I think.
They always come out the right scale.
Well, I cheat a bit. Let me open up one of my. Yeah, here's a drawing where I got everything. Come on, come on, come on. Why did you not open up? Why? Oh, I got this warning over here. There we go. Yeah, I'm not proud of this, Dan, but I've done almost all of the exercises in the textbook, in 3D. But believe it or not, I'd have on a non-printing layer, I had these little rectangles that I wanted to standardize the height of all the text. Paper space now. So I'd activate the viewport and literally scale this, by scaling or by properties, change the height to more or less so it filled that box correctly. A lot of work.
Yes.
And that might be you'd think that would be motivation to learn the annotative text, which you can rig. That's as I recall, for annotative text, to make it print out the exact height you want, regardless of the zoom scale of the viewport, you have to list each and every zoom scale of a viewport that you'd ever place that text. You with me?
That seems inefficient.
Yeah, an architect firm probably only has a few different scale factors. You know, one to 48, 1 to 96. So if you know, if a company only has a few zoom scales, it might be efficient, or it might be the way to go. But the short answer is I've just done it by hit and miss. I guess when I started these exercises, I was concentrating in model space, didn't plan ahead well enough.
I think model space is more consistent from what I've seen with creating viewports. Change the scale, and then the actual dimension changes based on the scale, not based on the line of the length of the line, rather. Does that make sense?
Da, 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 da.
For example, that 44 in a viewport, from what I've seen, would change to 88 unless you go in and modify the scale factor.
I don't know. It seems to be you know, as I change the zoom scale factor and dim regen, I believe it stays 48 all the time. So
I didn't know about that dim regen function.
I think if you place dimensions just kind of by eyeballing, you know, all bets are off. Oh, I'm in model space here. You know, say I got O-snap turned off. You know, that's literally the, you know, just under an inch of the 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper would show this cork looking thing. And I believe there's absolutely no connection between this dimension and the real size of the cork thing.
What happens when you pick the extension lines and put them onto that cork?
Well, let's find out. Turn back on O-snap. Okay, it's still saying the dimension in paper space.
That's not the real height of the cork.
Correct.
One of my biggest things with AutoCAD. The dimensions aren't all perfectly the same size in terms of length.
Well, again, Dan, you dimension in paper space.
Correct. I'm not saying that's the right way to do it. It's just the only way I knew how to do it.
Right.
I would make a dimension in space, and the text would be too small. I didn't know how to modify it at the time.
Well, I don't know if you'd want to be the one to pioneer this annotative.
What is the ET?
It's so long since I taught it, but when you create a dimension, when you create a text style, you can you can specify, hey, I want it to be annotative.
Okay.
But someplace, I think it's someplace you need to specify which viewport zoom scales you want the magic to happen. And I don't know of a way you can, put an asterisk for all zoom scales. You'd think you would be able to, but I haven't come across a way to do that yet. I don't know, if you want, I can might be able to send you a few pages out of that textbook that does have a exercise for annotative stuff.
Sure.
Okay. Now I know I have taken I have looked at professional drawings, and it's very rare, if ever, I see annotative text used. It may be that, just the legacy, the template, you start a new building. Well, this was like the one we did 10 years ago. Let's open up that file. I don't know that annotative is caught on yet. I did go to the Autodesk.com. I think our break's already over. I went to the forum on Autodesk.com and asked, hey, how are you professional drafters making the sniper scope crosshairs for centers, the center lines for circles?
Yep.
And they answered me, oh, you can use the new dimsen command, and I forget, draw your center lines in paper. Anyway, they didn't answer my question. They just gave me, mentioned different ways to do it. I'll have to go check. I don't think that forum sends me an email message when I get a reply. So I may have to go back and see if there's more answers. All right. Rest of the night is yours. You want to get started with the final project?
Yes.
Okay. I do have a list of layers, one text style, one dimension style that uses the text style. I'm going to be pretty lenient on how you make the plus signs. And maybe even if you don't make the plus signs, since I kind of, I doubt many professionals put the time into making it look as pretty as I do. Again, if you want to show your at a job interview, you might want to do them this pretty. Here's a little dimensioning item. See, you got that plus sign. The magenta plus sign is bigger than the red one I made with the center lines. And that's because anytime you dimension with AutoCAD using a diameter or a radius, it automatically puts something that, depending on how you got it set, it automatically puts a mark or something in the middle of the, dead center. And that would be a, let's see, get back to home, annotate. Wonder why it came all the way over here. Is it lines? Symbols and arrow? Yeah, here we go. On symbols and arrows, you can say how big the little plus sign is going to be. By default, you got the little plus sign by a little less than 1/10 of an inch multiplied by the use overall scale factor. So sometimes I rig it to have 0 so that my plus signs are created only by use of center lines. Another way is if you want to put make pretty center lines in the circles, you can rig it for a line and set the this variable for how far the whisker goes outside of the circle. Really butchering up my yikes. There we go. There. So it automatically created a plus sign, and that factor of that 2 factor determines the length of this. I guess it's very similar to the dim sen, the center mark command that some students have discovered. You got a setting, and but my experience is for the given that distance isn't proportional. You can't rig it to be proportional to the diameter. I think a few weeks ago we talked about that. Anyway, let's start a brand new drawing, start from scratch. Let me open up the PDF file for the final project. I think I got it in both weeks, week number 8 and week number 9. And rats. How do I rotate this? I don't know that I can. Well, let me see if I can open up the.
Go ahead, Dan.
Are you in Adobe? Can't see your screen.
Talking to me, Dan, or
Yes.
I don't know if you call this Adobe or not. Just when you
PDF.
Yeah, but it's kind of like it's part of Google Chrome rather than Adobe. You with me? If I downloaded it and open it up,
Locked in position.
right. I think if I literally open up the PDF file, it'll come out the way I want it to be. Taking a lot more time than I should here. Arrgh! I didn't notice if this rotate icon was automatically there.
So Paul,
Go ahead.
sorry about that. The company HII has blocked Zoom.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Was that including the laptops you borrow and use at home?
Yes. They said that there's hacking going through the program.
Well, I remember it made the news that Zoom sessions were being interrupted by, garbage. So,
Just wanted to give you a heads up.
Is there another platform that can be used, Paul?
well, I don't know of a free one, but GoToMeeting is what I've used a couple of times for an online school. If I remember it, it would cost me $30 a month to use it forever. The company I was working with kind of had a license for all the teachers to use it. I'm sure there are other competitors to Zoom, but I don't know what they are. Anyway, what do you want to do? Should I go through the layers, all this stuff in the blue text to the side, or you want to get underway with the green stuff?
I prefer the blue text.
All
Chaos.
right. Let's see if we can zoom in a bit. Okay, layers, object layers, 1, 2, 3, 4 different layers the contract calls for. So on the home tab, layers, layer property, reduce it down so it doesn't cover up everything. And machine gun a few layers and name one object. The object layer is to be green. Continuous line type, line weight is about the boldest of anything on the drawing, so set it to 0.5 millimeter. Now again, the line weights do not show up unless you click the status bar button to have the line weights show up. We also need a layer called center. It'll be red. And do I have it do I have it loaded? Don't have it loaded yet. And 15 millimeter. We need to make a dimensions layer. I don't know what an industry standard is, but I've always used magenta. Continuous line, and the line weight is 0.15. Last would be the text layer. blue and default line weight. So if you close and go back in, they'll be in alphabetical order. And I can delete a layer if provided nothing is on that layer. So there's our layer structure. Text style. We're to start with a clone of standard and immediately name it final. So there's the text style icon. With standard selected, click new and name it final. Click OK. We want Times New Roman. Font style bold. Width factor 0.85. And oblique angle of 8. So the font, the font style, width factor, and oblique angle. Probably be wise to set it current. And close. Now when using the text style, can I pan over here for this text in the upper right corner? You know, the text object properties apply to this piece of text here. Maybe your answer for the perimeter and area. You know, remember we welded all these lines, I think that was last week, into a closed polyline. And with the list command or properties, you can click on that closed polyline and find its perimeter and its area. So I guess both of these pieces of text would apply to that the contract requirement for the text properties. So if I were to place this blue text in the upper right corner, I would go to annotate, whoop, no, home to annotate tab or panel, multi-line text. My new text style is current, so there's no need to change that. I'll click once. Let's see, right click it. We want the height to be 15 and hit enter. What happened? Yikes. Before we click the right margin, I can change the justification. Number 2 of the text property, right click, justification would be middle center, MC on the command prompt down here. And we also need to change, number 4 says the space factor. It should say line space factor. Exactly 0.85. And it's given me that does not compute. All right, we'll just ignore that. I'll change everything within properties since the line spacing isn't behaving well. Paul Burgener. Comma. Okay, now from the properties, I can change the text height to 15. Line space factor to 0.85. And the justification, the middle center. Needs to be on the text layer. So I believe that meets the requirement for the text properties and the text style and the text properties. The dimension style we just covered. It would be this icon on the annotate panel. Start with standard, click new, name the dimension style final. Click continue. Starting with text, we'll change the text style to the text style name final we created just a minute ago. The fit tab, the use overall scale of should be 120. And on the primary units, we want to suppress the trailing zeros.
Tom,
Excuse me, Paul.
Yes, sir.
On the angular dimensions, should the leading zero suppression be also selected?
I did not, because the precision is 0, so it'll round off to the nearest degree. You with me?
Okay. Yep.
So I don't think with a precision of 0, I don't believe you'll ever have a trailing 0 in a dimension. By the way, a lot of, that a degree can make a big difference. So it might be wise to go to 1/10 or 100th of a degree. I don't know if you can change the format to degree. Here we go, degrees, minutes, seconds. That might be a little more professional. So there's our new dimension style. And I guess I had you leave the precision to 4 decimal places, because every dimension is an integer. If your dimension comes out, here 140.0201, it gives you quick and dirty that something's not right, because the trailing zeros should have truncated all 4 of the decimal places there. Click set current, click close. Now, starting on the green lines, I've always developed these diagonal lines. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 diagonal lines first, and then locate the points on that. Well, they said diagonal, but this one's horizontal. But locate the points that cross these guidelines, these 5 guidelines. Now, we could rig the polar tracking. I don't recommend this, but we could add a whole bunch of additional angles, like 60. What's 60 plus 55? 115. And add -70 and -120. I don't know if that might be easier, but the way I've done these final projects before in the past is always just started with a line on whatever layer I got going straight to the right, copy it on top of itself 1, 2, 3, 4 times. One, 2, 3, 4, enter. And rotate these to where they belong. One of them is 60 degrees. Another one is 115 degrees. Another one is -70 to go clockwise. And the last one is -120 to go clockwise. Whoops. I forgot the minus sign. Can I undo? All right. There we go. Rotate, select, enter, base point -120, enter. Now these 2 points up here are 300 units from the center, from the the body of the spider here. So I'll go to circle radius. Snap at the intersection or any of these endpoints. Make a guideline 300. Now, it might not be a bad idea to crop off the part of the circle that I'm not going to use, before I home in on some of these points on the other guidelines. Y'all know how to trim. Just draw some guidelines and or some cutting edges and trim away. Should have left that. Trim, enter. Ha! Anyway, the shorter way is the break command. Looks like a little battery symbol here. The hard thing about the break command is you got to pick your points going counterclockwise what you want to disintegrate. So if I want to disintegrate all the way around to here, I need to pick this point first and then go counterclockwise. My O snap's going to bite me here, so I'll turn it off. And there we We got chalk lines for that jelly bean at the top. Put another arc at the 200 unit line to locate that. Turn back on O-snap. Maybe break away the garbage that are useless. I'll shift right click, pick none. So there's a target. This guy is 250 units. And I'll break it away. And the last one is 140 units. And I'll break away the garbage to avoid, shift right click, none. That would be a nice, good time to go crazy making circles. Some of the circles are copies of others. Like on this jelly bean at the top, make 2 circles at one end and copy them from, intersection or center point to intersection or center point. Those 2 circles are a diameter of 60 and a diameter of 110. So pick the center diameter tool. What I say? 60, enter. Diameter circle tool again. And 110. And then copy these guys from that center over to this center. Now that I got these intersection points here, I don't need to, calculate the arcs or the radii. I can just O-snap to one of these intersections. Trim away garbage. I messed up. Let me undo. Trim, enter. And then erase the garbage. Okay, those long arcs are garbage left over from trimming. These 2 circles are 60 and 100. Starting with the one closest to the center, 200 units away. Drop down center diameter. Diameter of 60, enter. If you hit enter again, you bring up the circle command, but by default, it's going to the center radius method. Specify the center and then invoke the diameter option of the circle command. And specify 100. Copy it exactly 80 units to the right. Connect from quadrant to quadrant and top and bottom. Probably should save it at this point. We also got a quadrant to quadrant in the small circles. Trim, enter for everything. And erase. Two circles down here for okay, we go to 545, right? Yeah. Diameters 40, enter. And diameter again 90, enter. Now I got tangent to tangent line here. And another tangent to tangent line here. Do I use 1, 2, 3, 4 OSNAP overrides? Just to be different, I'm going to set only the tangent OSNAP. In fact, it's quicker if you go to the Object Snap Settings dialog box. Clear all, pick tangent. Now I can machine gun. Enter, enter. That's all I need. So I'll go back to Burgener's 5 favorite OSNAPs again. Need a couple more circles, 100 and 160 here. And 160. Now the fillet command would do these two arcs. And if they were convex coming out of the object, the only way to do that would be the circle tangent tangent radius icon and trim away garbage. And since these are concave, you might save a step with the fillet command. And I don't know why fillet, won't go convex. Maybe I ought to put that on the wish list. Fillet. Right click, radius 90, enter. Click in the vicinity of where you expect the arc to touch. Hit enter to bring up the last used command. Invoke the radius option, change it to 200. Click where you expect the arc to touch.
It's got a little piece in this.
Yeah, you lost a section,
Huh,
like the fillet, got rid of the previous.
you're
Trimmed it
right. Yep. You're right. It does truncate an arc. It won't truncate circles. So the extend command, the sister command of trim, would continue that arc around until it touches this boundary. Drop down the trim command to extend. Hit enter so everything is a boundary. And click on the arc near the end you want to extend. Let me show off putting the plus signs in the jelly bean up here. I'll go to another layer, say the center layer, and I'm kind of assuming that, you know, since there's only one layer of center lines, each and every, you know, the way I did it was each and every one of these red lines has got a separate line type scale multiplier factor within its properties. But again, I'm going to be lenient since nobody would pay you to be this precise or this pretty. On the red layer, I'll draw a line from there to there, scale this new line by a factor of 1.3. Draw a circle using the 2-point method, or center and radius, whichever I come to first, because I want to draw a circle so I can, you know, make the curve, make this arc right here. This is really 3 arcs, by the way. One at each end and then one in the middle. I'm not smart enough to do it all and, you know, make it look good with a single arc. So we'll go to 2-point. I may come back, I may recreate this black arc later, but now I'm going to trim it away. Oop, wrong icon. I want trim, enter. I'll change that guy to the center layer. At the risk of needing to draw it again, I'm going to erase this guideline. I'm going to change the LT scale factor, LT scale multiplier factor by some amount, and I've long since forgotten what value I used. It's on the center layer. Double check I got center line type. Hello, there we go. It's continuous line type. I forgot to change that. So let's change the line type of the center layer to center line type. And we'll go back where we started. Maybe 20. A little more. I got to lengthen the line, so I got a nice perfect plus sign in the middle. Maybe 40. There we go. Lose this circle. Now, how can I replicate this from there over to here? I'll copy it on itself and then rotate the previously selected stuff about this point a negative 55 degrees. Or for that matter, is it symmetric? I was just about to say I could mirror it about a center line straight up from there, but I don't know if it falls perfectly symmetric, you know, with 90 degrees going.
You really need 90 degrees? Just draw a line from the center of one of those arcs to the center, your base center.
That's a good idea.
No, your base center. Down at the bottom. Yeah, right there.
So then go for indicate those.
I'm
Now it's got a
not
symmetrical
sure
line.
if I
That
also
doesn't look. Does that look good?
here, the quadrant is not the midpoint. I should have snapped to the midpoint, not the quadrant. You can, by the way, you can also erase by selecting it and hit E for enter, erase. Okay, now I believe this mirror line, which notice is not perfectly 90 degrees. I'll lose that. Copy, select both, enter, click, click, enter. So I just doubled up these two. Mirror P for previous, that means the original two objects. One line, one arc. Enter any 2 points on this line. I'll lose this guy. All right, how do we go from here to there? There's a couple ways. You could draw a full circle and draw some wings, you know, lines, and then draw a full circle and then trim the circle using these two wings. I never taught you this, but there's the one of the arc methods. Start, center, end. We'll place a red arc. It starts at the ends of the red arcs already drawn. Now, like so many other things, the trick is to remember to do things in a counterclockwise fashion. So I'll use the start, center, end icon of the arc flyout toolbar. Starting on the clockwise one, start, center, end. Enter to, or escape to get out of the command. What was the scale factor I used on these? Actually, let's match properties. There we go. lose that mirror line. I'm not sure, maybe because the textbook, you know, all the bulls or the sniper scopes or crosshairs on the 1, 2, 3, 4 circle assemblies. Notice they're all horizontal and vertical. I guess it makes sense. You know, this one should be a center line because it's, you know, it's a bent, you know, an arcular object, if that's a word. So while we're on the center line layer, I'll draw some red lines. I'll scale the 2 red lines by a factor of 1.3 and hit enter. And these are just a hair longer than these arcs, so maybe I'd take a little hair higher. I've forgotten already what I used. 40 was it? $60. I don't know if it would be the quickest way, but I could copy these 2 to the other 3 circle assemblies, trim them down and scale them up. Don't know if that's really quicker. Let's see. Copy, select them both, enter, O snap at the intersection or dead center of the circle. I'll make just one and then make it perfect and then copy it over. Let me erase some of these guidelines. I'll trim these whiskers. I'll scale these 2 by 1.3, enter. I think I did 60 for that. Maybe 40 would be good for these. Well, this line is of little use. Not a problem. I'll lose it. Trim, enter. I'll scale this one guy. 1.3, enter. And I'll mirror it about its midpoint at a 45-degree line. I think there was some question of how do I get the 2 plus signs? I might have stretched this little racetrack wider just to make this easy. Yep, I cheated. Good, it shows the gap. Yeah, the lines, these 2 red pieces here don't, you know, they're yeah.
Paul,
Yes, ma'am.
why didn't our stuff come out green on the object layer for the construction
Uh,
lines?
I believe I'm still on the, I drew them on, I think I drew them all on the 0 layer. Yeah,
Okay.
that was a good time to isolate the 0 layer. I might have just barely touched on this command. Or I could freeze the center layer. I'll do isolate. Now, if the wind's blowing right, I can select everything and move it all in one piece to the object layer. Now, why would the, oh, that's right. When you isolate a layer, I should have isolated the 0 layer, not the center line layer. So I'll unisolate, isolate the 0 layer, enter, select everything. And I'm not sure if this is going to work. There. Look a little fat on my display, so why can I not right click? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, right click and pick line weight settings, and I'll slide it a hair down to compensate for the okay, I think I need to unisolate now. What happened? Undo, undo. Oh, I turned off line weight display. Right, I might have undoed the adjustment. All right, sooner or later in dimensioning, you'll need to draw some magenta lines. I don't know if textbooks would say continue the red center line all the way to the middle of the object, or do as I have done and draw just a simple line until it overlaps, and you can withdraw order. You can move all the center lines to the front of the stack of stuff. That's done with this this draw order command here. When I'm all done, I might bring all of my dimensions to the front. And then I might repeat the process and bring all the center lines to the front, so that the colors, if you zoom in, you know, the colors will make it anyway. So on the, let's change to the dimensions. Ooh, how did they get locked? Did I not unisolate? I don't know. Got them all unlocked now. On the dimension layer, I'll draw some simple lines. Move these two to the dimensions layer. Now to set current, the final dimension style is already current. I've got the dimension layer current. So I think I can machine gun all these angles with the angular dimension. Probably would be wiser to click the furthest out object. If I click down here, there likely would be a magenta extension line go through these little white spaces here. So it probably would be better to select the objects to the outside. Nope. By the way, Dan, I never did find where it says thou shalt not leave a gap between a center line and a dimension line or an extension line. You with me?
Yes.
So in other words, don't believe this, leaving this little white space obeys the ANSI, what is it, 14.5? Not a problem. We'll just erase it and oh snap. No, I don't think this will make it. Okay, we'll use the 3-point method of the angular icon. So click the angular icon, hit enter. Now it asks for 3 specific points. Specify the angle vertex, that would be down here. Okay, I think I grip edit them instead of doing it this way. First angle, second angle. No, it does look good. I was just about to guess that I did it this way and grip edited by sliding that guy down to here and sliding this guy down to there. Now, if we were to print it out, there's a little bit, you know, the purple would print out and cover the red, assuming they're the same line weight. So again, to get where these different color lines overlap.
Excuse me, Paul.
Yes, sir.
If you don't want the gap, why wouldn't you just do properties and change the extension line gap to 0?
I never thought of that.
Can you do that? Have you done it?
No, I haven't done it in AutoCAD.
I think we're looking for extension line gap. And I see extension line extension.
What about offset? What is that? That might be it right there.
That's it. Yeah.
Extension line offset.
That's it. Change it to 0.
0625. It's a 16th.
All right. Actually, well, it won't work now because I got them. I've already edited. Let's undo
Yeah,
it.
Undo twice.
They're in there.
Okay, we'll select the dimension, right click properties,
Where is it? Down.
There we go. Change that to 0. Enter. Da-da-da. Yep. Not a bad idea. That saves the, there's no need to use draw order then to get the, the red to print out on top of the purple or magenta. Good point.
All right.
Now there might be, I don't think I recommend this, but I think we could modify the dimension style for angles only. That extension line gap would be 0. Okay, I'm not finding a spot where you can change the parameters of the dimension style for just
Go to lines on the left. And go down to extension.
See it? Offset from origin. I know 6 to
Right
4.
there, yeah. Zero that.
yeah, I'm with you, but
It's not just for angles.
well, I wonder here, do we want, let me bail out of here. On the linear dimensions, do we want a gap right here?
Yes.
So we want to change that offset to 0 for the angle dimensions, but not for the linear dimensions.
Don't do it.
Don't do
Just do it individually, right?
That's the only way I could think of would be to either change them all for the angular or change them all for the linear. Well, we already did it for one angular. Let's go ahead and do it. This is not the AutoCAD. Keep forgetting to close. So let's, as we make the 3 more angles. We'll repeat the exact process we did here, so we're consistent.
You could do more. Create the angles and then select all 3 of them.
Ah,
and do properties.
Good, excellent, good idea. Okay, eventually I think I'm going to have to move it out to make space for these dimensions. To start with, it's nice to have your arrows point to point, but eventually I'm going to have to move it out. And we'll do likewise here to there. And here to there.
You're not fussy on that?
Say again, Dan?
I'm surprised that you're not fussy on the angular arrows being in line all the way around.
Oh, well, I had to make some compromises, like this 50 dimension down here, I had to scooch up.
Oh, for the 8.5 by 11.
Right, to maximize,
And then scale the view.
right.
Rough the view down.
And, this guy had to be pushed out to make all these 4 dimensions readable.
Taking off points.
Yeah. Well, there is, there's a there you can, any textbook with covers dimensioning will have a list of guidelines. And you'll find that it's incredibly hard, if not impossible, to satisfy all the guidelines. Something's got to give. So anyway, let's see. I only need to change these two. Right-click, properties. I'm drawing a blank. Where's the
Scroll down.
offset? Well, it looks like rather than saying varies, it just refused to select them.
Do you have something else selected? Besides the 3 dims?
I've selected 2 because this 50 degree here, it looks okay as is. I might have to, shave the magenta lines. Let's force a 0 here and see what happens.
That's going to override your dimension. You're not going to have 70 anymore. You're going to have 0.
Good point. I thought that said offset. Okay, I don't see the extension line offset anywhere.
Just doing 1 each.
Yep. Select one, right click, look for that offset. Enter.
That's odd, because normally when it's the same properties in a family, it'll pull up that value.
Looks like I only had to change this one
Well done.
because it, the magenta line of one angular dimension fills the gap for the other dimension.
Nice.
Let's machine gun the radial dimensions. That's all the radial. Let's do the diameters now. One of the rules is don't put dimensions on the object. But once in a while, you got to break one of them. Yep, looks like I'm going to have to stretch the 60 out to keep these dimensions from being on the object or covering up an object line. M for move. And then I'm making space for the linear line, extension line to come down here. Might have to move that a hair further yet. Looks like on the handout I did some grip editing to shorten the little leaders. Maybe do some linear dimensions. Well, now I got the choice. Do I massage the heck was that? I either got to go to properties and change that offset to 0, or I got to draw order to bring the red to the top of the stack. Let me do the draw order method just for variety. I think the O-snap bit me there. Hold. Now this text is too close to this magenta line, and the text of a dimension is the last thing you want to interfere with. I guess the next to the last would be the arrowheads. Anyway, I'm going to slide that piece of text here to the left. Need an aligned dimension from here to there. And another aligned dimension from there to there. Oh, I hate it when that happens. Why did it not come out 140?
Why is it out so many places, Paul?
The dim style left the precision to 4 digits, but I wanted to truncate the trailing zeros. So this dimension is a little less than 6/1000ths of a unit off. So it doesn't have zeros like it should if I'd drawn this perfect. Now I'm tempted to overwrite. Well, let me try it. Let me see if
Just
history.
change, right? There's no way to change that.
Stretch.
Stretch.
Tell them stretch it.
They can hear you. It's unmuted. Yeah, I think you can't change this by changing a dimension like you can in the next. Can't do that.
No, well, AutoCAD does have parametrics, where if you change what the text says, it'll change the length of the line. I've never taught that though.
Okay. Hmm. Wow.
I'm gonna lose sleep over this. 1, 4, 0. Now, does that,
So they just move it from that point to that point.
Mm.
Done. Or can you stretch it from that point to that point?
Wow, it's so close.
Do a trap, stretch it.
I think I'm gonna mess up the tangent to tangent
I
arc
wouldn't do
here
it.
slightly.
Leave it. What difference does it make? Does it make a difference? We're just learning how to do it. Doesn't matter.
Well, good point. That's, this is another issue. Would I pay the drafter 5 more minutes of labor to make this perfect? So don't tell anybody.
That's it.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Are we completely finished?
Wow.
I think that's it. Yeah.
We're not done.
What do you mean?
Let me see. Is it done?
Now there's yet one more part. I want you to come up with the perimeter and the area.
Oh
that's the
yeah,
hard
that's
part.
right. We're not.
And because of that little hiccup here, I have a feeling my area is going to be slightly off.
We'll let it slide.
Okay. What I suggest to do that, it would be to copy all the green stuff over here to the side and then weld it into that shape. And then you can query that shape. Let's isolate the object layer and copy everything on the object layer straight to the side. How'd that get there? Now, trim, enter. Why did that not trim? Oh, because that's an arc, duh.
What are you gonna do? Explode?
Yeah, this is an arc. I'll need to erase that. Trim that guy, trim that. Whoa, what happened here? There we go. Before they cause confusion, I'll eliminate some of this clutter. Yeah, I better trim these whiskers too. While I'm erasing, I'll trim, enter. Modify, I reckon, join works, but I think getting friendly with pedit does you more good. Yes, I want to turn it into one. Join. Let's change the width to say 0, and nothing happened. Oh, that's because it's already 0. All right, we'll change the width to something much larger. Yep, everything swelled up, so it looks like I got a good join polyline. Looks like I hit escape too soon. LI enter for list. Whoa. That's the magic text I want. And again, I think it'll be a hair off because of that little glitch with the. Anyway, Control C. I'll start another text object. Actually, I suppose it might be better to copy this text since it's already got the, oh, I got to unisolate the layer. Copy that text to there. And reword it. Control V. Get rid of some blank spaces. Bail out and grip edit it a hair wider. Why does the perimeter not jump across? Okay, I hit a carriage return there instead of leaving it, remember I chewed you out for carriage returns a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
So without the carriage returns, and my handout has perimeter and area in reverse order and capital letters and all that. All right, let's open up my perfectly done one. I'll right click, clipboard. Oh, I'm keeping you overtime. Almost done here. Select that text, go back to our drawing one. And right click, paste. And put it on a non-printing layer so students wouldn't see it. Yep, sure enough, both are just a hair off. Move it to a non-yellow layer. Well, shall we call it a night?
Yes, thank you.
I don't know, maybe if y'all are finished with this final project, in the next day or two, maybe we'll get into viewports and paper space next week. Or next Thursday, the day after tomorrow, Thursday coming up.
Yeah.
What time is Thursday's class? Thursday,
3:15 again.
3:15.
Again, they didn't ask me, so I have no idea what the reason was, but for some reason the fall classes, the fall AutoCAD intermediate is going to be an hour later than we're doing right now. I believe it runs from 4:15 to 6:45. It's in a message I mass emailed everybody.
Okay.
Oh, I ought to shave these whiskers off. Well, we've taken up enough time. Any
Well,
last questions?
did they say when the fall class is going to start? What's the date, the start date for the fall?
Yes. Let me open up that message. That ain't it. I must have done it with my Yahoo. Thought I'd always sent it to myself. Hope there's nothing embarrassing here. Okay, it runs from well, the quarter runs from the September 14 to November 14, but this would be a Monday, so our first intermediate class would be September 15, and the last one would be November 11th, maybe Tuesday before the 14th. Did I not put the time on? Misspelled intermediate, -1.
That's all
Well-
right. It's an hour later. So.
Right. Let me open up the message that started it from my boss. Search for Bauer. Here we go. The intermediate, 4:15 to 6:45.
Yeah.
All right, let's call it a class. See you Thursday. Who else? I didn't take attendance yet. Did people already bail out? Or?
I'm still here.
Okay. Let me take a pic of the 5 of us. Yeah, I don't think we ever had more than 6 attendees. So okay, class. See you day after tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Burgener, may I help you? Speaking. Surprisingly well. I think I got an appointment Thursday. Is that what the call's about?